Thanks, Vivian. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely and cosy in the Blast backyard on a blustery Sunday morning. My name is Malachy O'Connor, and I'm going to be running the panel discussion this morning with a selection of buyers from a wide variety of different types of retail chains. So it's going to be really interesting to get all of their varied perspectives and understand their priorities and the differences between them. My background is in retail, and I spent 20 years as a buyer, buying director, commercial director, etc. Worked for a lot of different grocery retailers. And for the last 7 years, I've been consulting, doing strategy consulting and training on commercial skills, negotiation skills training, sales skills training. And I'm delighted to be here at the Blast backyard to run this panel this morning. We've got Barra McFeely from Tesco, got Miriam Carpenter from Harrods, Adam Breen from Holland & Barrett, and then James Walsh from Lidl. So what I'm going to do quickly then is ask each of the panel to do a quick introduction on themselves and their background, etc. So Barra, go first.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Barra McFeely. I'm Tesco's supplier development manager. It's my role to help suppliers come into Tesco and then to help suppliers within Tesco to grow. I'm with Tesco 12 years, and most of my career in Tesco I've been a fresh food buyer, buying various categories, so I've a good insight into how it all works, and I've been in this role for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I started off in FMCG 35 years ago as an artisan cheese producer. I used to manufacture a brie cheese in the centre of Dublin in Smithfield. That business is still on the go, produced by another cheesemaker now. I then joined Super Quinn, and I was in Super Quinn for about 10 years, and now in Tesco. So I'm delighted to be here to meet you all this morning.
Thanks for that, Barra. Miriam.
Hi, I'm Miriam Carpenter. So I'm currently with Harrods. I've been here for 2 years, product developer, and look after the fresh food category. Prior to that, I started my career at Tesco, so I worked in product development, technical and quality roles there, and then moved over to the supplier side, working for Deli France. And in that role, it was about developing the business, growing our category from a product development perspective with M&S and Waitrose. And then, been with Harrods for the last 2 years.
Thanks, Miriam. Adam.
Thanks, Malachy. I'm Adam Breen. I work as the category manager for food and sports nutrition for Ireland. Prior to that, I was in Dunnes Stores, where I started off my career, went through the ranks from fresh produce and horticulture to frozen, and I've actually only started a month and a bit ago into Ireland, but it's a very exciting time to be in Holland & Barrett because a lot of investing is going into this wonderful country of ours and the weather. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Adam. James.
James Walsh, Lidl Ireland. So I've been working for Lidl for just over 12 years, initially across our supply chain department, but more recently in our food buying department. So the areas I look after as one of 3 buying directors is all of our fresh meat and poultry, all of our chilled meats, and a couple of our condiments and sauces areas as well. But the other area that I'm responsible for is our Kickstart programme. So Kate O'Driscoll, whom some of the people here will know, will be reporting into myself and looking after the Kickstart programme throughout 2024, and we're looking to do a big relaunch of that, and would be really interested to speak to any suppliers there that are interested in taking part in that programme over the next couple of hours. That's myself.
Thanks. Okay, so let's get stuck in. Thank you for all those introductions. I'd love to again go through the panel and hear about your company. The basic kind of nuts and bolts that need to know, because this weekend is not just about picking up awards. There's a lot of networking going on, and speed dating, and retailers and suppliers sizing each other up, and it's not always going to be a fit. So I'd love you to kind of give us the kind of what are the nuts and bolts, the beating heart of each of your organisations, the kind of things that suppliers need to know so that they can get a bit clearer idea about whether there's a fit, whether there's an opportunity. I'll come again. We'll just go straight down from Barry. Barry, can you tell us about Tesco and what do the suppliers need to know
Yeah. Well, Tesco has over 160 stores here in Ireland. 120 of those are big supermarkets, and the rest are, express stores. We have a very strong Irish office, so although we're part of the Tesco Group worldwide, we very much operate as an Irish entity, and we've a very strong focus on developing the Irish supply base. In terms of dealing with us, I mean, the one gateway to Tesco is through myself. That's what I'm here for, to help suppliers come into Tesco. Of course, you're always free to contact buyers directly. And the way we operate is we have over 500 Irish-based suppliers, and 100 of those are artisan regional suppliers who supply not nationally, but just their local stores. Then the other 400 would supply Tesco on a national basis. We do have the facility for direct sales to stores locally, and then in terms of the mechanics of us moving product, we have an ambient depot and we have a chill depot. So that makes it easier for the supplier to scale up very, very quickly. The ethos of Tesco, our mission statement, is every little helps for our customers, the community and the planet. So we live and breathe that every day and try and incorporate that into what we do. So that's a whistle-stop introduction to Tesco.
So Barra, if you were a small or medium-sized supplier and you're not already dealing with Tesco, and you might stand back and think, oh, they're big, I'll get chewed up here. What you're saying is that there's a manager, i.e. you, who specifically looks after the integration of small suppliers. That yes. Tesco has the capability to do it on a regional basis, so you don't have to go into a central depot and go nationwide. You can supply directly to a limited number of stores where the product is relevant and where you can make that start. Yeah, so you have that capability to do that.
Yeah, we have that capability, and I suppose the other point is, even going into the central warehouse, suppliers will be fearful, I'm going to be in lots of stores and big volume, but we have the flexibility to put a supplier into 10 stores going through that warehouse. So that takes away the whole distribution headache and allows you to grow organically. 10 stores, learn the ropes of dealing with Tesco, and then hopefully if the product's performing well, go out to more stores, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 over a period of time.
So you can go through the depot and reach 10 stores.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the other thing worth saying is the continuous replenishment system. For a supplier going into 10 stores through a depot, you don't have to merchandise. You don't have to go in store and take orders or place orders or worry about pull through or anything like that. The continuous replenishment system, if the product's on the planogram, it kind of looks after all that, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, the space is defined. The system does the ordering. There's fantastic systems have been brought in the last 2 years, which means a supplier can go in, they can see the sales every day by every store, they can see the stock level in the depot, they can see order forecasts for the next 2 weeks. So from a production perspective, it's very, very good. In terms of growing your sales, you get an understanding, rather than getting a shock, my product isn't performing as well as I thought it was, you can see it every single day, how you're performing by store. So if you want to kind of understand why it's working well in one store and not another, well, you can go and do that in investigation.
And that's a portal that exists to support any supplier that's set up with Tesco.
That's correct. And I mean, another important point is the internet business, tesco.com. That's a very big part of what we do. We have a very big reach in the Irish market, so that is another service we provide.
But actually, what's interesting there, what my next question was, if I'm one of those small suppliers and I get a regional listing and I'm in 10 stores, if one of those stores is a .com store, am I available online?
You are automatically. Once you're selling in a .com store for 3 days, you then appear online for all the customers in the catchment area of that store. Yeah.
Okay.
So-
All right. Very good. Very good. So lots of good reasons to do business with Tesco. Miriam, tell us about what makes Harrods tick. What suppliers need to know if they're approaching you.
Yeah, sure. So our focus is about delivering the best quality. We have customers with very high demands, and so we really look for the most artisan producers. So when working with Harrods, whether it's own label or whether it's a brand, if you're own label, then there are specific requirements to do business with Harrods from a sustainability perspective, sourcing, technical perspective, and then in terms of if you're a brand, then it would be more direct to the store. And as a business, we are obviously one store. That's like always going to be the absolute core of our business. We do have an online basis as well, but the store is the absolute heart of the business.
Okay. And in terms of kind of differentiators for anybody who hasn't been in Harrods or hasn't been in Harrods in a while, what's the USP?
So our whole brand is based around curating the best products, delivering an experience for consumers, and then delivering the best service. So we treat every customer, no matter how much money they're spending with us, whether it's no money at all and they're coming there for the spectacle, or if they are spending hundreds of thousands of pounds in one transaction, we're really all about delivering that service, and then also the experience. So we are constantly putting lots of money into the business to renovate the different halls around the store, and that's a really great position to be in, that there is still, even in this economic climate, that investment, which obviously helps for the business to grow, and then curating the best products from all around the world. So the buying and development team are constantly looking for the next small artisan producers anywhere in the world, because we want to be able to provide something unique and different that you can't find elsewhere.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for that, Miriam. And as I recall from last year's discussion, that finding products that other people don't sell is something that's important to Holland and Barrett as well, Adam. So tell us a bit about what makes Holland and Barrett tick and what you're looking for.
Absolutely. So we're obviously all about good food that loves you back, and basically what that means is it's your standard food that you pick up any time with the added benefits. A big thing we're doing at the minute is every product in Holland Barrett has food points on it, plant points even, that basically you have 30 of them a month and you've hit your gut health goals. And it's that's not just something Holland Barrett are saying and that we've patented. That's something we want every company to be doing, because we want everyone to be healthy at the same time. So it's very much food with benefits is a main priority at the minute with Holland and Barrett.
Yeah.
And then from a local side, a lot of I've only been there a month and a bit, but what I've been told is a lot of our suppliers have the benefits in their products and they don't realise it, which is great when they realise them. We're like, yes, let's go, let's take on the product. We've recently brought on 13 new Irish suppliers, and we're continuously doing showcases from between Board BIA, NI Invest and Enterprise Ireland. Everyone's been so helpful. We've met some amazing brands, and it really opens your eyes to see the quality of produce we have on this island.
Yeah. And Adam, how many stores do you have? And what's the basic kind of nuts and bolts of getting a product on shelf in a Holland and Barrett in Ireland?
So currently we have 64 stores in the south and 22 up north. But if we bring on a product from Ireland, it'll go up north. So you're looking at 80 plus stores, which is great. And then the onboarding side, originally it was saw to be a bit of a problem and a bit of a minefield, especially working with artisan suppliers that don't have the big backup accounts and can be quite difficult. But everyone we've brought on has found the process very, very smooth. We're very helpful. We want to work with suppliers. We want it to be as easy as possible for them. So it's an online database that you put in your NLF forms after your onboarding, and we just sign it off. It goes through a few different sections, legal, etc., and then yes, we have a depot in Kildare. You can either do DSD or straight into our depot. One thing we are looking to do in the future is chilled. So please feel free to talk to me if you have any products that fall under the food with benefits for chilled, because it's something that is in the UK at the moment, and we're just logistically trying to figure that one out on this island.
So Adam, just to be clear then, so two different routes onto the shelf. You can go through the depot, which is in Kildare. Is that your depot, or is that like a partner distributor?
It's RTS.
Okay.
Or
you can go direct to the store. Why would you choose one or other? What was the...
Again, like Tesco, you can do localized. If it is a really small amount niche, and we want to just try it off, and the supplier isn't 100% sure either if it's for them.
Yeah.
We're open to that.
Okay, so if it's a test niche trial, let's just go direct to the store.
Yeah, ideally it goes
Yeah.
to depot, and
Yeah.
it's the smoothest option.
And you're open to taking the supplier's brand. It's not an automatic that they have to supply under the Holland and Barrett brand.
No, absolutely not. We want to be shown to be presenting the Irish brand within Ireland,
Yeah.
because it's the best.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Adam. And James, then tell us a bit about Lidl, nuts and bolts. What can we expect if we're going to do business with you?
Yeah, so Lidl in the Republic of Ireland have 179 stores and a further 41 in Northern Ireland. I suppose the unique point about Lidl then is that international aspect. So some of the suppliers that have worked with us from an Irish basis are exporting. We have 32 countries that we operate in across 12,000 stores. We have across Irish suppliers at the moment, we're exporting to 28 of the 32 countries that we operate in. Lidl in Ireland, I suppose just focusing on that, we have 4 regional distribution centres supplying those 179 stores and 42 stores in the north of Ireland. We have a very simple business proposition that we will offer the best value at the best price. And look, there's been, I suppose, for us, we've started off with our Kickstart programme back in 2017. And has helped grow and develop a lot of suppliers that are now permanently listed on our shelves. Some of them that would have won awards here yesterday. Barra touched upon it, that in terms of that supplier development role is something that we have seen as something that we want to invest in. So as of November of this year, we'll have somebody who's fully responsible just for supplier development as part of our Kickstart programme and a relaunch of that. And then from an Irish perspective, of discussing with Malachy earlier on, roughly over 40% for assortment now is Irish sourced product. So coming from being a hard German discounter back when we would have entered the country in 2000 to now being very much so an Irish discounter is something that we want to continue to grow and develop, and particularly with new and interesting products that offer value to our customers.
But an Irish exporter as well, actually.
Massively so, yeah.
You tell me if I'm wrong now, but if somebody's asking me about how do they follow up on that opportunity to go international? As a group of buyers, you meet several times a year to say here's what's going well in Ireland, and then the guys in Croatia can say, well, I'll have that.
Correct.
Tell us a wee bit about that.
So I suppose the starting point for us is we try to have the hardest working assortment. We don't have the benefit of having 20,000 SKUs in the store. We have just over 2,000. And with that, the item needs to I suppose, earn its space on shelf. The beauty of, I suppose, working with Lidl is once you have that space on shelf, you will have volume coming through that item because it's not competing with 5 other items that are in the same block. And for us, then we actually will, as a buying team here in Ireland, look at every single category, look at every product within the market and determine what do we need to offer our customers so they can do the full shop with us. On top of that then, 1 month following that category review, we'll meet with all the other Lidl countries and do the exact same exercise looking at what's available throughout Europe. As a result of that, we've had items from Irish suppliers going to baby food supply into the likes of Belgium, the Netherlands, the UK. We've had the likes of Ballyhora apple cider, which was exported to America as part of a British and Irish week, and that is a big one for us. That British and Irish week is something that takes place 3 times per year. It's all British and Irish items, and we're always pushing the Irish part of that are sold all across Europe as part of the themed weeks that you see here in Ireland, where we maybe have an Italian week or a French week. We're doing that from an Irish perspective all over Europe as well. With that, I suppose that's the promotional side of the business. The listed side of the business, as Malachy was referring to, that's something where a buyer in the Netherlands looks at the product and says, that's a really, really good item. We'd love to have that. And it's a case then of just drawing up a contract, because our systems are the same across all of Europe, that the buyer here in Ireland will be responsible for the negotiation of that contract, the writing of that contract. Your point of contact will remain here in Ireland, which simplifies it, and your orders then will just come from the depots in the countries that you're exporting to.
Yeah, very good, very good. Just pause for a minute then. I've got loads more questions, but there's a great crowd in this morning. And are there any questions from the audience about, just the nuts and bolts of how you deal with one of these any of these retailers? So we've got Tesco, Harrods, Holland and Barrett, and Lidl, and we're talking local, we're talking NI as well, I suppose, and international in some cases. So, like, what practical questions do you have?
Good morning, everybody. Siobhan here, St. Tola Cheese. I'd like to ask everybody in the panel, how do you deal with products that are seasonally produced as opposed to 52 weeks of the year?
Now, can I just clarify then? Is it seasonally produced but sold all year round?
Sorry, I should have clarified. Only available at certain times of the year.
Like a Christmas product or a summer product or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Due to the nature of the product.
Yeah, okay. And what specifically, what are you thinking?
Well, just thinking about my own product, for example, like due to milk supply, there would be a lot of goats. St. Tola would be available kind of for 6 months, but coming into this time of the year now,
That's a goat's milk cheese, yeah.
goat's milk cheese, yeah. So for 6 months of the year, it is not available, really, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Because the
not
milk supply isn't available.
Yeah, milk supply.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a soft cheese, so you can't have you can't make it 6 months in advance to have it.
Yeah.
For the Christmas.
It's a really good
whatever.
question.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll start off. I mean, the starting point is, I think, for most retailers who've kind of a big structure and planograms, and they might only be changing the range twice a year. That that under the normal process can be challenging, because the date of the range change may not coincide with the season change. But having said that, that's managed through exception, and it's easier to do that in the fresh categories. And in fairness, that's where you're going to see it. You're only going to see it in the fresh categories. So essentially, when the product is available, it's on sale, and when it's not available, it's not on sale. And the mechanics of that if it's on the planogram, we would just ask the stores to double merchandise face off with the product sitting adjacent to it, and remove the shelf end label if it's going to be gone for a long time. And then when the product comes back, it's reinstated. And we do have that happening, and it does work. And I suppose it leads into a whole broader question around seasonality in Ireland compared to, say, European markets, where in France, for example, you can only buy strawberries within the months that they're locally available, whereas in Ireland we have the expectation that product is available all year round. The consumer has that expectation. So that's a very interesting dynamic, and I think it's very important for retailers to take the lead on creating awareness around seasonality. And of course the other big category where that happens is in produce, where some fruit and vegetables are not available locally all year round.
But you have the capacity to
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miriam, this must be bread and butter for you. You
Yeah,
want the
yeah,
best,
it is,
which
yeah.
means it's not always available.
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially in the cheese category, produce and meat and fish, we're so seasonally driven. So we are always really interested in seeing products which are just available at certain times of year, in terms of having limited edition offers for our consumers and being able to bring in that when it's in its best quality. So yeah, no, that type of product is perfect for us. And then it's just we take our consumers on that journey in terms of we only have it in available at this time of year because it needs to be the best. And if we have it available all year round, then you're not going to have the best quality.
In a way, actually, it kind of adds to the story. Like, it's unique. It's only available for this time. It's really special.
Yeah,
and
that's what all of our business is about. It's about having those product stories connected to the products to justify why they are in a Harrods, and having like that sustainability story behind it being made in a very artisan, handcrafted way is really important.
Super. Adam and James, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, from a Holland and Bar perspective, seasonality is something we're working on, because most people come to us after the season is over to get healthy again. But we do Advent calendars, which obviously once we get the forecasting right and the supply chain in the correct manner, it works fine. But from my experience, I'd say working, especially on a fresh produce product, working day to day in terms of volumes, supply shortages or anything like that is absolutely vital.
But you must have a seasonal aspect to your range, given it's all about health, food with benefits, and that goes through a season. You know, people kick off the year really healthy.
Oh, sorry, of course, yeah.
And in the summer they're really active. In the winter it's all about colds and vitamin C.
It goes very much up and down. The products stay very, very much similar on shelf though.
Right. It just the sales go up and down, but the products.
The sales go up and down, and it ends up balancing because, as you said, like you'd have a spike in, well, protein would be kind of a base and really index as well in Ireland. But then you'd have as you said, your vitamin D go up in the winter and then come slightly back down in summer. But then in the summer, you'd have your sun cream go up. So it balances out.
Yeah, very good.
It's an interesting one.
It is interesting. James?
Look, I think for mentioned that we have a limited range, so seasonality plays a massive role for us. Then ideally we'd love to see the goat's milk and through to Christmas. We know that that's just not the reality, and for us then we would have, I suppose, items that we know that at certain times of the year that they're not going to be available. Barra references it as well in terms of fresh produce, but also across our chilled range, and when we know that something's going to change out, we do have listing windows that we try and then work with the supplier to say, we know you're going to halt production at X date, and that we have a replacement item then that will come in for that period of time that maybe fits the season better if you're coming from summer into winter or autumn into winter. And that time of year, there's always capacity for us to have new products that come in. So for us, we're always tight for space. It's never a case that we don't have a replacement item there, and it works well with our model then that we can swap things out as we come out of certain seasons.
But what proportion of your range would be seasonal? Because if you're going to have the hardest working range, it has to be hardest working at that time.
Exactly. So Robert here, who's actually responsible for all of our summer range, and look, at certain points of the year we'd have up to 20% of it is seasonal. Seasonal. Across certain areas such as meat and poultry might be up to 30%. Likewise, chilled convenience. Those are very, very much so seasonal based, and it comes into winter, Christmas, then that completely changes out. So from the beginning of September, all of our range would have changed from a summer into back to school, and then we'll feed into to Christmas and seasonality, into New Year, into healthy eating. It's just a constantly revolving cycle to meet the customer need at that point in time.
Yeah. So I think the answer is, all chains have an aspect of seasonality. They understand it. They might not like it, because if they love the product, they'll want it all year round, especially if customers are happy to eat it all year round. But they all have the capacity to handle seasonal pieces of business. It's a really good question. I wanted to ask again everybody on the panel about your kind of top level strategy. I think there's always a great opportunity, instead of a supplier going to you and saying, here's my cheese, do you want to buy it? The best place to start that conversation is, I think there's an opportunity for us to do some business together, and I can help you. I can help you realize the potential that's there. And buyers and retailers are very busy, and suppliers are experts in their product and their category. So, and one of the best ways to get that alignment is to understand what your strategy is, what your priorities are, so that they can help you deliver what you need to deliver. So I'll start over with James. Can you give us just a real top level, if there's 3 or 4 what they call pillars to your strategy right now, what are the things you need help with from the supply base?
I think the first thing we need is people that want to work with us that they reach out to us. We're quite a small, tight buying team within Lidl, so we're working off maybe 15 people versus some of the other multiples that would have much larger teams. As a result of that, then we're looking for people to come to us on occasion rather than us always going out and seeking people out. The second one then is that you understand what the buyer is looking for. So I mentioned earlier on, we have our category reviews. It's great to speak to that buyer in advance of the category review to get samples in, that they're looking at it as they're reviewing the category, making decisions for the year to come, that they have that product in mind, that maybe have an idea in terms of indicative commercials. And the third thing then is that where is it working? How is it working elsewhere? Do you have some figures or data to back it up? And with that information, then a buyer can put together a proposition to come to a director within our business to say, we want to actually go with this item, we want to take this product, we want to list it at this time, we want to list it in these stores. If you can have that plan in place when you're approaching your buyer, it'll allow you to put yourself in a position to succeed. If you're somebody maybe who's not looking for a listing in 179 stores in the Republic of Ireland and just want to maybe come in on promotion, it's then understanding what are the times of the year that your product is available and that you have sufficient supply to meet the demand of 179 stores, and B, then that it's actually going to, when it comes in, that it sells and it performs, so that we're coming back, knocking on the door, looking to do it again.
So 2 follow-up questions for you, James. The first one is, what should a supplier do when they've done all that? They've scoped out the opportunity. They think there's something for Lidl and for them, obviously, in it. How can they get the attention of a buyer when the buyers are just so busy? What's the best way? What do the best suppliers do to say, here's an idea, talk to me?
Generally, it will come through as the initial contact, maybe an email or a phone call. If you scan the QR code just next door to us there's 5 or 6 buyers' names, numbers, emails that are there. Do reach out to us. It's always a case that we're looking to hear from new suppliers, and there will be a response. It mightn't always be the case that we're able to say there's space or there's scope in that category, but we do want to hear from you, and we will get back to you. Then events like this are events like Bloom up in Dublin as well, just where you actually get to meet the people in person. I think that just, you can't put a value on that. Like that email, that phone call, actually meeting the people here in person at events like this are an excellent opportunity to talk about your product, the story of your product, and for us to understand what is the USP that we can get across as value to our customers then on the back of that. Yeah,
brilliant. And then the second part of it then was to understand, and I'll ask everybody the same question, what are the kind of corporate priorities? Like, is it all about sustainability or health or gut health, or what are the kind of top 2 or 3 or 4 things that at a corporate level you're going to be really, what will really resonate with you when a supplier comes to you?
Look, we have a clear vision, mission within the business, and within that then is to provide market-leading value and quality food produce that meets the needs of our customers, and then all of those things need to align then with sustainability, and that's something that just for us is something that we had that vision and mission statement, and we've actually amended that to take into account sustainability in the last few years because it's such a priority for us as a business. People who align with that generally in terms of a supply base probably make no apologies that we are, I suppose, still a discounter, so that we know what our pricing is, that we will offer value to the customer, and that doesn't mean that we don't have a place for premium artisan products, but ultimately that product, it can't be more expensive. We can't sell it for more expensive than it will be any place else. But we're not looking to bottom or kill anyone's brand in terms of a pricing proposition either. So it's a case of we won't be beaten on price as a price promise that we have. But on top of that then, it's that value doesn't just mean price, it's that if you have a really high quality product, we have the likes of our 3-rib beef roast that's won an award there yesterday, and that's not a cheap product. Our customer understands that when they're buying that item that it's a treat item, but ultimately for us it's something that still represents amazing value, and that's from a corporate side what we're looking to achieve as a buying team, that we're meeting the customer needs and always offering that value.
Yeah, so don't go to Lidl if you haven't worked out a value equation about the price it'll sell at, the quality that it'll deliver, and then elements of sustainability as well. Yeah.
The quality is probably the point that needs to be. There can't be inconsistencies in the quality. There's 179 stores, and a customer walks in from one week to the next. They should not see a difference in the quality from one week to the next. We're not talking about a price in terms of a contract with somebody until we've agreed that the quality is what it is and that it can be achieved consistently when you're supplying into us.
Good stuff. Okay. And Adam, what are the top level kind of strategy pillars that suppliers need to know about?
Yeah, so as I said, we're actively really pushing for localized Irish supply of food that loves you back, food that has the added benefits of if it's extra iron or CBD is another one that's really trending at the minute. They can't claim any proper health benefits, but it does. It helps relax. So we're really going after the localized side. Please, you can contact me because I'm the only one in the country. So please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to each and every one of you for as long as you want to see if your product fits on our shelves correctly. Yeah,
good stuff. And Miriam, what's the kind of top level? I mean, we
Yeah,
know
sure.
about service, we know about quality. Is there anything more than that suppliers would need to know that they can tap into to help you with your strategy?
Yeah, so I would say that our real focus this year is about finding suppliers who can be really agile. So having that really strong availability. We want to have suppliers who sometimes we have customers who come to us and want to order, say, 100 salmon and they want it the next day. So being able to have a supply base who can be really agile to that and respond quickly. Obviously, it's beneficial to both parties. It's a really great opportunity for a supplier to be able to get those big sorts of sales through us. So having, supply base that can be responsive to that. And then also, as already been mentioned quite a few times, sustainability, of course, is a really important one for us. Having suppliers who align with our own sustainability goals. And then as a brand, we are about leading the trends. So finding those completely new products that are not available elsewhere. So if you have a product which is not available in other retailers, then that's the type of thing that we're really interested. And it's great then to have your brand visible as well in Harrods and have that exposure.
Great, thanks. And Barra, what are your strategic priorities at the moment that suppliers can tap into?
Yeah, well, for us it's very important to meet the needs of customers. So we would identify what those needs are and we break them up by category and we call them need states. So I'll use cheese as a category as an example, as I'm very familiar with it. So essentially, say there's the blue cheese category. So we would aim to have a blue cheese first and foremost. Then within blue cheese, we would aspire to have a private label blue cheese, so we can offer blue cheese at a very competitive price. But then we would also like to have a branded blue cheese. Then on top of that, even within branded blue cheese, we would like to offer choice. So obviously we have some very large stores and that affords us the opportunity to give that choice with different brands, have a premium brand, a middle of the road brand, and that creates scope for smaller suppliers to begin their journey with us. And so the opportunity for a supplier is to go to a store and look at the range that you operate in and say, okay, do they have a private label? Okay, they do. Do they have brand? Yes. Do they have an Irish brand? Because if that need is being met only by imports, well, we're very interested in having an Irish solution to that. But then, even if there is an already Irish solution, well, then you need to try and see what your point of difference is from a customer perspective. Is it that you're a more premium brand? Is it that you are a better quality product? Is there a provenance to it? whatever. It's very important to identify that point of difference and communicate that to us so we understand it. But ultimately, it's the customer who decides. And if the customer buys into the product when it's in a smaller number of stores, then that's the product that will get extended out into more stores.
So, Barra, I think what I'm hearing you say then is the big opportunity for suppliers to get in store, put yourself in the shoes of the shopper, and really critique it. So you might have a wide range of products in any category, and all the tiers and the brands and the private labels are represented. But if you put yourself in that customer experience, you might spot opportunities.
That's right.
So I'll give you an example. Looking at a short shelf life product that was bought by Tesco in the UK. And tapped into by the Irish business. So the product was there. So that apparently there was no opportunity for an Irish supplier. The product was there, but the shelf life was poor.
Yes.
Because it was coming across the water and through an ordering system, and then that meant that the waste was probably higher than you wanted it to be.
That's right.
And the customer may not have bought it because there was only 2 days left on it when there should have been 5, etc. So that's an opportunity if you put yourself in the shopper's shoes to see, well, there's something that's suboptimal, and I can help you with that.
Yeah, that's a very important point. You know, your point of difference might be the shelf life. It might even be the case size. It might be the availability. If you see a product's going on and off sale, well, actually, I can give that to you with a very good service level. And and you know, there's a lot of Irish sourcing going on in the retail industry, across the entire retail industry in Ireland, which is absolutely fantastic for Ireland, and in particular in Tesco. Although we always have been very strong supporters of our Irish supply base, you know, with the arrival of Brexit, there's an even greater focus, and that creates a much bigger opportunity for both branded and private label suppliers. And I think that's the important thing, that we are very interested in developing brands because we have customers who love brands, and we're also very interested in developing private label. And I think, one of the lovely things about walking around the tent over the last few days is seeing the number of Irish companies supplying private label across the entire supply chain in Ireland, all the retailers. And it's great that private label is delivering for the Irish supply base.
Okay. Vivian, how are we doing for time?
We're going to wrap up with simple questions from the floor.
Okay. So, yeah, questions from the floor.
My name's Aisling from Naked Bakes, and next week I have an opportunity to pitch to some buyers, and I have 20 minutes with each of them. Is there any nuggets of wisdom that you have that I can catch their attention, or has there been any suppliers that really stood out to you that did something special? Thanks.
I'm happy to take that question. So I would definitely bring product samples along. Make sure you have like your full range there, but I would lead with like what your USPs are, because if you bring out your product samples beginning, that can often distract buyers or product developers, and they're so invested in looking at the product, which obviously is really important, but you need to be clear on what your USP is. Also then how it's going to be delivered, like how the consumer eats it. So what is special about it? How is it different to what else is out there? So being clear on how you're providing something, a gap in the market.
Yeah, and just my advice would be to wherever retailers are meeting, go and visit their outlets, stand in the category that you're supplying, and understand your points of difference. And one of my favourite pastimes in retail is standing and observing, maybe 2-3 hours, just watching consumer behaviour, what they're picking up, and then imagine your product was on the shelf, and how would that appear in the customer eyes. And my personal experience of that, when I was developing my own cheese business, I went to my Quinsworth Marion it was at the time, and I put my product on the shelf. Didn't scan in Quinsworth, wasn't available in the range. But I stuck it in there with all the other brie cheeses, and I watched and counted how many people picked up brie, how many picked up mine, and of course once they picked it up I had to run after the customer and say, sorry, you can't buy that. Now, I would recommend letting the store manager, you're seeking their permission. But that's the level you need to understand, because if you can turn around and say to a supermarket buyer, I understand the market, I understand the dynamics of your customers, and 3 out of 10 are going to pick up my product. And I know that because I stood in your store and I did it.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement. But there's a practical element to it as well, because buyers look after categories, which could involve 20 or 30 suppliers. They also look after multiple categories. You could have a buyer who's buying completely diverse categories. They're spinning plates, they're spread very thin. You're the expert in your category. They don't have the time to spend 3 hours in their own stores, never mind competitors. So if you can do that and bring those insights, as Barra said, literally standing and observing, that they're kind of golden nuggets to get your case across. Okay.
This is Trevor from Trevor in Lisduggan Farm Foods. This is directed, no pun against Michelle or Adam, to Barry and James. I'm an artisanal producer who is capable of producing much bigger volumes, but I limit myself to a certain weight category in every batch I make. I approached a super value private entity who had 7 supermarkets, and 2 years ago I produced one of the products that I had, and I said I would like to produce that for you to see how it goes, more for my own experience of dealing with a supermarket. And hence 2 years on, I am happy enough that there were little hiccups and at the start, but all of a sudden it's a ship that's running smooth now. I'm looking at all the overheads and costs that have come on board in the last year and a half. And I actually had one of the sponsors down with me, and we were looking at developing a range to pack our products. And I said, hold up, because I said, I want to keep it simple and I want to keep the costs down. So I've basically gone back to just label and packaging and none of the other costs associated with having it fancy, in other words, what the people are buying is the product. And if the product is good enough, do ye think that my approach is strong enough, or should I bear the expense of going for harder packaging?
I mean, that's a great news story. I mean, you're ahead of the curve there in terms of sustainability. And we're all going that way. We don't want product over-packaged. And consumers buy the product, they don't buy the packaging. In particular, once they've bought your product once the product is kept clean and hygienic and the shelf life isn't compromised, that's all that matters.
So unless there's some really clear functional requirement for an element of packaging or an additional layer of packaging or something like that, they don't want to pay for it. And it's bad for the environment. So keep it as simple as you possibly can. That's the answer to that question. There was a couple more over here before we finish up.
Hi everybody, it's great to be here at the backyard, thank you very much. I'm Gillian Morgan from Morgan's Fine Fish, and actually Malachy, you've slightly referenced the question I had for Miriam. One of the spaces we're supplying at the moment is premium restaurant quality cook at home seafood products. And as part of that premiumisation, there is a shelf life challenge. So, I mean, we literally have, production plus 6 days. And how much of a challenge is that to exporting to yourself or, something like that in the UK?
Sure. So we bring in products from all over the world. So from as far as Australia, Japan. and those are short shelf life products as well. So although preference is not to bring in frozen product, if it's not going to have any impact on the product, then we're open to that. But ultimately, trying to get it in as fresh as possible. So I'd say it's really product dependent, to be honest. It's quite hard to give a generic answer to that, but it's not a put off by any means. It's still possible, and it's just then about, once it's in the UK, what is the shelf life then?
Nia from Alternative Christmas Pudding Company. So I'm just inquiring about lead times for seasonal products. If you're approaching larger organisations like yourselves, is it kind of 3-4 months out or even longer? 6 months?
I can take that one. So I'm not sure how long you mature your puddings for.
They're biscuit based.
Biscuit based, so
last forever essentially.
we'll make our decisions for Christmas 2024 sometime around January. So look, ultimately we'll review the entire market this year in terms of what's out there for the Christmas, what is happening in, I suppose, trends, what might be happening in a Harrods, or what are the premium things that are out there, and what can we offer to our customer, and we'll make our decisions then. We'll work through the tender process with the various suppliers who are in a position to supply that and meet that need. But ultimately, you're working now for Christmas 2024 if you're working towards just a set seasonal period.
I think it's a really, really good point, and I made a note of it earlier on. It's for the average Irish supplier to understand just the basics of category management and range windows and how a product gets on the shelf and how those decisions are made. Like literally the best time to think about next Christmas is when you've just done this Christmas, or right in the middle of Christmas actually. So if you're out in the market looking at what's going on in little shelves in the months of November and December, you'll pick up valuable information. You can form insights, you can make proposals, and they want to hear about it in January. They don't want to hear about it in August. It's too late. Because in August they're thinking about next summer. They're reviewing the performance of all their barbecue products and all their lollipops and stuff like that. So, and that's one of the problems, that when you have a great idea and they won't return your calls because it's not on their radar at that time. They're thinking about something else because they're much further in advance than you think they are. So that's a really important takeaway, I would say, for most small, medium Irish producers. Yeah. Anything to add there?
I would also add that for certain types of products within the Christmas category, we will be looking at that right now. And if you're reaching out then in January, usually decisions are made in January, as in like costs are finalised, products finalised. So the development of those products is usually before Christmas has even happened. Then we observe Christmas, see what's performed well, and then finalise it in January.
There's one really quick one. I'm really conscious of time, but I think it's important everybody here has a chance.
Hi, I'll be really quick. So Liz is my name. I'm from Laois Taste. We represent food and drink producers in Laois. So just one of the questions I wanted to ask was, what is the best way to increase sales when you get the product on the shelf, like in sales promotions, that sort of thing? What's the best way to increase the sales when you're in store?
We're currently, and right across the board, you're looking at a trade planner where we look 18 months out in advance in terms of what's happening, in terms of events, maybe not seasonal, but things like that. So it's very important to get your promotion aspect right. Some work brilliant on a 2-for-1. Some work brilliant on a single price point. It's very, I'd say, selective to the products. But from a promotional aspect, it's very important you get that right and you get your message across really clearly. And maybe work with another supplier to do a dual multi-buy. I found in the past that works very well as well.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. I mean, if you are in a smaller number of stores, 10 stores or whatever, starting off, there's a big opportunity to connect with the customers in that store, whether that be doing a tasting during busy times or physically standing at the fixture and saying, hey, I produced that, or have someone from the family or the factory in there, and making that connection. And the big advantage of that, in particular if you're starting out with multiple retailers, is you can observe how customers react to your product, any questions they have. If they're not buying it, you can deep dive it there on the spot. And if they are buying it, you can understand why they are buying it. So when you're in a small number of stores, you cannot beat being at the fixture.
James?
Just connection with your buyer. So having conversations with them and what are the promotional opportunities. So within every single business promotional team that are planning into promotions, having a really good network or relationship with that buyer, they're going to be able to push that with the promotions team and maybe get you some promotions planned in so that you really push your item on shelf, but also in the other leaflets, your online, etc.
Miriam, for driving sales in Harrods.
Yeah, so I think.
So sorry. I'm terribly sorry. But if we want to get Miriam back out to the UK today, because we're about to close the street at 11 o'clock,
right.
and we need to get you on.
Thank you. But yeah, we don't tend to do 2-for-1 in Harrods, so that's why I left it for these guys to answer.
Okay, for what it's worth, I think availability is the single biggest sales driver. Because you think a product's available, but it's not.
Cool. Thank you. I'm going to run now.
Thanks, Miriam. Okay, it's 3 minutes to 11. Vivian, we're wrapped? Yeah. Thank you very much, James, Adam, Cara, Miriam. Thank you very much.